September 15, 2008, the largest bankruptcy in American history. And almost nobody saw it coming. That's the lie we tell ourselves. We say the collapse was a black swan, unpredictable, unprecedented. I've spent enough time in the financial trenches to know better. Lehman Brothers didn't fall because of bad luck. It fell because smart people made catastrophic choices and everyone else looked away. So let's start with the obvious question. How does a 158-year-old institution just vanish? Lehman wasn't some startup burning through venture capital. It was blue chip, established in 1850. They'd survived the Civil War, the Great Depression, World War II. Then in less than a decade, it all evaporated. What changed? The answer starts with mortgages. Specifically, mortgages that should have never been written. In the early 2000s, the housing market was on fire. Everyone wanted in. Banks wanted volume. Regulators looked the other way. Lehman wanted market share, so they started buying mortgage-backed securities like they were going out of style. Here's the trap nobody talks about. These weren't prime mortgages. These were subprime, given to people with spotty credit, no down payments, adjustable rates. The banks knew the risk. They packaged them anyway, sliced them into securities, and sold them as AAA rated. They were lying, and the ratings agencies, they rubber-stamped it. By 2006, Lehman was all in. They'd leveraged themselves to the hilt, borrowing $30 for every dollar they actually owned. That's not investment. That's gambling with other people's money, and the casino was about to close. Fast forward to 2007. Housing prices started slipping. Homeowners began defaulting. Suddenly, those mortgage-backed securities weren't worth what everyone claimed. Lehman's portfolio, stuffed with this toxic paper, started hemorrhaging value. And here's where it gets personal. CEO Richard Fuld kept telling investors everything was fine. He wasn't lying exactly. He was just choosing which truth to tell. Lehman's real estate holdings were worth billions less than the book said. But admitting that meant admitting the whole model was rotten. So Fuld and his executive team kept spinning. Keep the stock price up. Keep the bonuses flowing. Hope something changes. Nothing changed. By spring 2008, Bear Stearns, another investment bank, was collapsing. The Federal Reserve stepped in, orchestrated a rescue. J.P. Morgan bought the carcass. Lehman watched and learned the wrong lesson. The government will save us too. They were catastrophically wrong. Summer 2008. Lehman's stock was in freefall. Investors were bailing. Credit was drying up. The firm needed cash fast. Fuld shopped the company around. Bank of America, not interested. Barclays in the UK, almost. But the numbers didn't work. Nobody wanted to buy a sinking ship. Then came the weekend of September 12th through 14th. Treasury Secretary Hank Paulson, Federal Reserve Chairman Ben Bernanke, and SEC officials locked themselves in a room. They were trying to engineer a rescue. A consortium of banks, maybe. Government backing, possibly. Anything to avoid a Lehman collapse. But the math was impossible. Lehman's losses were too massive, the liability too sprawling. Every bank that looked at the books walked away. Even with government help, the deal didn't work. By Sunday night, Paulson had made his call, no bailout. Lehman would be allowed to fail. Monday, September 15th, 2008. Lehman Brothers filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. $619 billion in assets evaporated. Thousands of employees lost their jobs. Pension funds, insurance companies, and retirement accounts, all exposed to Lehman debt, took massive hits. The dominoes started falling immediately. AIG, an insurance giant that had written credit default swaps on Lehman debt, was next. Then Washington Mutual, then Wachovia. The financial system wasn't just shaking, it was coming apart. Credit markets froze. Banks stopped trusting each other. Suddenly, nobody knew who was solvent and who was just pretending. The Great Recession followed. 8 million jobs lost, trillions in wealth destroyed. Foreclosures spiraled out of control. Families lost homes they'd thought were safe. And it all traced back to one decision, letting Lehman fail. The government had bailed out Bear Stearns. Why not Lehman? The inconsistency triggered panic. Paulson later said he didn't have the legal authority to save Lehman. No government money available. No mechanism. But here's what I see. A system so fragile that one firm's collapse could trigger a global financial meltdown. That's not a black swan. That's negligence wearing a fancy suit. The real question isn't whether Lehman was predictable. It is. The question is why so many people, smart people, powerful people, chose not to see it. Fuld wanted his bonus. Traders wanted their commissions. Regulators wanted to believe in deregulation. Everyone had skin in the game. So here's the answer to our original question. Lehman didn't collapse because of bad luck. It collapsed because leverage, lies, and greed can only compound so far before the math catches up. And when it does, it doesn't just destroy one firm. It burns down the whole system. The people responsible, most walked away. Fuld pocketed $500 million in compensation over his career. Junior analysts took the fall. Taxpayers funded the cleanup. Lehman's ruins were picked clean by lawyers and liquidators for years. Justice, apparently, isn't part of the financial system. Subscribe, we're dissecting the next financial disaster before it becomes tomorrow's headline.